This is an extract from the Nature podcast. For the full show, head to nature.com/nature/podcast.
Quantum computers have the potential to be game changers. Their quantum bits, or qubits, can exist in many possible states at once. This means that they could speed through certain calculations much faster than their regular counterparts. But it's still early days. We're a long way off the quantum PC. The largest quantum computer today, a 1,000-qubit machine made by Canadian company D-Wave, can only use its power to solve one type of problem. There are computers designed to solve a huge range of problems, but at the moment, to solve different problems, you often have to tweak their hardware. But now, physicists at the University of Maryland in the States have made a programmable quantum computer. You can change the problem it solves without changing its hardware. Reporter Lizzie Gibney spoke to Shantanu Debnath and began by asking how physicists have been designing their quantum computers so far.
They have been targeting their system to address maybe one algorithm at a time. For example, I would choose, if I want to factorize the number 15, then I know exactly what the circuit needs to look like, and I can fabricate my system such that it does that calculation for that circuit. It's still quantum, and it does the job, but my system can only do that.
What if I were in your lab and looking at your quantum computer? What actually would it look like?
It would look like a 12 feet by 7 feet big optics table, and in the middle of it you would see a vacuum chamber that is storing the 5 qubits, and you would see a lot of lasers in there, and then you'll see a bunch of wires that are going to all these classical controllers, these oscillators and generators, and in the end of all those wires you will find a box which contains a microprocessor maybe, which basically processes the low-level end of the code and communicates with a classical computer. It's a desktop that we are typing in the algorithm into.
So your quantum computer at the moment is still pretty tiny. I think it's 5 qubits, but tell me about the system and what it can do that's different to other systems out there.
So we use atomic qubits, and the atom we use is of the element yttrium. If you are to implement any quantum algorithm, you can always break down the algorithm into fundamental logic operations. So in our system, what we can do is we can program these fundamental or native operations. So that is something that is really nice, because then that gives the reconfigurability, which allows us to implement more than one algorithm. So when we had the system working, we looked at all the algorithms that has been done before, and we wanted to, on specific systems, and we wanted to go ahead and pick many of those and try to run it on one system.
So even though you're limited in the number of qubits you have, because you can address each one individually and they can all talk to each other, that means that you can actually run a whole bunch of different algorithms on it.
Yes, in practice, yes.
And so presumably to run even more useful algorithms, you'll need to scale the computer up a bit. How easy will that be to do?
It should be easy in theory, but in practice, it requires a lot of engineering. So one aspect of trapped ion systems is developing the ion trap itself, and there are national labs and private industries that are investing a lot of money and doing research in developing these sort of traps. So once you get nice traps which are fabricated very well and behave very well, you should, in principle, be able to trap, let's say, 100 ions or 200 ions in a single processor. And even if that is not enough, then you can come up with multi-zone ion traps where you can have many processing modules which can be connected by simply shuttling the ions around so that they can talk to each other. The thing is that all these individual tools have been demonstrated separately on small scale. The question now is just to bring all these things together.
Well, right now we've got this very small but programmable quantum computer, but still a ways off to having the real thing. When do you think that will be? It's a question I've got to ask, sorry.
So I think within like the next 10 years or 20 years, we'll definitely have a multi-qubit quantum processors based on ions, and that's going to have a system integration of all the controls and the readout techniques that you need to probe and measure the quantum states.
10 to 20 years. Okay, I'll come back to you then.
I hope that there is something really working as nicely as I claim it to be.
Shantanu Debnath from the University of Maryland, USA. Want to know more about Shantanu's programmable quantum computer? Check out the paper plus the news and views in the usual place.